Hi, I'm Krista Smith. Thank you for joining me. For those of you that are new here, I have been in the corporate world for nearly 25 years. I'm currently an executive at a large company leading a team of nearly 300 people. That's a lot of years and a lot of mistakes and a lot of learning, and I would love to teach you what I have learned and what I am still working on. Let's get into it. There's a really timely topic that I think that we all need to talk about. Our whole country is on the brink of the floodgates opening up and folks becoming vaccinated and being able to hopefully get back to our normal lives. And what that means for a lot of us is potentially another huge transition coming up. And that is transitioning from how we've adjusted to working at home to moving back into the office. And that might be all of the time, full-time or part-time. And so what I would like to do is talk through about what that might look like both at a personal level and then as a leader. So this is going to be a two-part series. The first one will be on what we need to think about personally and what our folks are thinking about personally, and then what we need to think about when we put on our leader hat and how we can help people through this transition. This is all about routines. And we changed our routines in order to work from home, and that was a very fast, very abrupt, very major change in our lives. Yet we were able to do it. And so I think that the first thing to remember before we even go into the specifics is that we can do this. We've done it before and we can do it again. It just feels really uncomfortable. And so we're gonna have to lean into this and remember that it's possible, because we've demonstrated that we can do it before, not only in the massive change that we all made a year ago into working from home, but every year when our children return to school, anytime we move homes, anytime we have a change in routine, even just in our eating, anytime one of our family members has a change in routine, we're able to adapt to that. And so we need to frame this change as an update to our routines. And so as such, I recommend that we all evaluate our personal routines so that we can understand what will work well for us going back to work full-time into the office, or even a blended environment where we might be going back and forth on a day-to-day basis, a week-to-week basis, whatever that might look like for all of us. And so the first thing in the realm of updating our routines is, what does our childcare look like? I've talked to a lot of people, and one of our biggest concerns for people with younger children is what the childcare looks like, because the childcare has not necessarily caught up to our current state in the timing of when folks are going back to the office and needing that childcare. And so schools are going back into in-person learning, and what that means for us is that we're either going to need to pick up kids during the day, or we're going to need to determine a childcare solution. So first routine that we need to look at is childcare and perhaps elder care. If you have been taking care of a parent or a loved one and been doing that with the flexibility of working from home, you're going to need to look at how that will work as you transition back into the office. Next, everything around food. Food is just really different when we are living a lot of our days outside of the house. I think that we transitioned into eating way more at home and being able to go to the refrigerator and make our lunch when it was time. Now it's time to reverse that and think more about how we make the food work for ourselves and our family when we're out of the house more often. What that could look like is grocery shopping differently. I think that we all have learned a whole lot more options on how to get food into our refrigerators around grocery ordering, grocery pickup, everything about shipping in groceries. We have a lot more options now than we used to. And still, when we're not in the house as much, we are going to need to think about how we get food in that refrigerator, what breakfast, lunch, and dinner looks like for ourselves and for our families. We remember when we used to do meal prepping. We probably will need to go back to that. And if you've never done meal prepping, I'll do a video on that. And that's something that we can look at in order to make our lives easier as we aren't able to spend more time at home. Also meal prep, not just meal prepping in advance, but meal prep in the evening will look different because we won't always be home anymore to put something into the oven several hours before the family's hungry and we need to eat. So we need to look at that. Remember that we've done it before, but consider how we're going to do that again in this new world that we're moving into. Next, clothes. It sounds a little bit funny at first, but our whole routine around clothes is going to change again. So we will, depending on the environment that we're going back into, the workplace might be a little bit more casual. I'm not sure if everybody's going to go back to the same level of formality that people were using, but watch when you go back into the office, see what people are wearing, and we'll need to adapt our clothes for that. And so what that might look like is that we need to start laying out outfits again. We need to make sure that everything still fits. The last year might have brought some size changes for some of us, at least temporary ones, until we're able to get that back on track too. But what still fits? What kinds of outfits are we liking to wear? What does the style and the formality in the office look like right now? Remember dry cleaners? We might have to take clothes back to the dry cleaner. We might not have dry cleaned things back in February that a whole year ago that haven't been worn. And so what's clean, what fits, and what's appropriate for the office these days. And as we go back and forth, how can we make our wardrobe work for us again? That's also the same with our families and our kids. I don't know about you, but my kids have worn nothing but sweatshorts the entire last year. And so they may need a little bit of update and refreshing in their wardrobe also. Next, housework. Depending on how you have organized your housework for the last year, that might look a little bit different. Whether you have somebody come in, if you're lucky enough to have somebody in to come in to help you, the timing on that might look different, and whether or not you've been able to squeeze a little bit of housework in between meetings or fold clothes while you're on a call, that will look different. We won't have the opportunity to do that. And so we will have to think back to our old routines that worked well for us, and that might be choosing one night a week to do the housework, choosing a weekend day to do some of the housework, breaking it up into regular rhythms, whatever we used to do, and then whatever we've learned, we'll need to put that into place now again, since we won't be in the home as much. Next, carpooling and driving kids, especially since it's not clear how the childcare is going to align with the schools. We need to look at how kids are going to be transferred either midday from a schooling situation to a home situation, or whatever their after-school activities are, and understand how that's going to be different than it was when we were all home in lockdown full-time. It brings in that complexity. On this, again, I have to remind myself, we've done this before, so we can do it again. And the world's not quite in sync yet. And so all of our helpers and all of the different agencies that all align to the normal school schedule might be off sync a little bit. And so we will have to look at how that goes and pay attention to it. So evaluating carpooling, evaluating getting kiddos to places that they need to be is something that we need to think of. Next, budget, but make it less. It might make it so that our heating bills are less, maybe our internet bills are less, and it might increase some budgets. It might increase the gas budget. It might increase if you go out to lunch. You might need to think about budgeting that in, and you might need to think about the dry cleaning if that's something that you do. And then finally, something that we shouldn't forget about is our exercise routine. I know for me, when we went into lockdown a year ago, my exercise routine changed significantly. I changed from going to a gym every morning to working out at home. And now I really love my home office setup, but the timing of it and building in travel time and thinking through that so that I can stay taking care of myself is really important. And the going into the office in the morning for me means that I do need to get that workout done a little bit earlier than I did when I was just having my commute from my kitchen to my home office. So those are the 8 things that I thought of that we should be thinking about as we're transitioning back into work. And then take heart and always remember, as I started out, we can do this. We are good as humans at adaptability. It just takes some thinking and some planning. And so I offer you this checklist to help get you ready for the additional changes that are in our future. Thanks. Have a great day.